Hi, I'm Angela H. Brown, Executive Director of Craft Lake City. Today, we're producing fun science videos for Utah students at schools in partnership with Google Fiber.
Hi guys, it's me, Dr. Beth from Craft Lake City. I'm here to show you some other cool science and STEM-based activities having to do with chemistry. So what chemistry is, it's a study really about how different things can come together to change how they look, feel, taste, smell, even the shape they take, a solid, a liquid, or a gas. We're going to learn about that in some of the experiments we do today. So one of the fun things about chemistry is by mixing different things, you can see the effects they have on each other. This is called a chemical reaction, when two different substances or chemicals are mixed together and then create something new. And you don't have to have a lab to do chemistry. There's lots of things you can do at home, right in your own kitchen. And I'm going to show you a couple of those today. The experiments we're going to do today are examples of chemical reactions that you can do in your own home. So first what we're going to do, we're going to create what I call a rubber egg. And it's not really rubber, but it kind of looks like rubber. You'll need, of course, you will need an egg. I brought two just in case one broke. You will need a container to put your egg in. A container with a lid is good. And then you'll need vinegar. So this is just regular vinegar that you get at the store, white vinegar. Vinegar is a chemical called acetic acid, and it's very simple. What we do to set this experiment up, you put the egg in the jar and be careful not to drop it in. So there it is. And then you just pour enough vinegar into the jar to cover the egg. Okay, so let's take a look at what happens when we add the vinegar to the jar. And what you'll see immediately, you see these bubbles forming around the egg. There's all sorts of tiny bubbles on the eggshell. And what that is, it's a gas called carbon dioxide that's formed when the acid in the vinegar reacts with a compound in the eggshell, which is called calcium carbonate. So all these bubbles are formed by the chemical reaction that is taking place between the vinegar and the eggshell. So now you want to take your egg and vinegar and just put it in a safe place for 2 or 3 days. So while we're waiting to see what happens to our egg, we're going to show you or do another type of chemical reaction. In this case, we're going to mix a solid with a liquid, produce a new kind of element or a new kind of substance, which is a gas. And we're going to do that by using a chemical reaction to blow up this balloon. So here's what you'll need to blow up a balloon using chemistry. First, you'll need a bottle. I picked a nice big bottle, but it's fun. It needs to have a narrow top so that you can put the balloon on it. You will need vinegar. You will need baking soda. Of course, you'll need a balloon. And then in order to do this, it's nice to have a piece of paper that you can fold, and this is to help us put the baking soda into the balloon. So the first step is to put our liquid into the bottle. I'm pouring about 3/4 of a cup of vinegar into this bottle. And the next step is to add baking soda to your balloon. You'll probably want to add about 1/4 cup of baking soda if you want to measure it. Sometimes it comes out lumpy. You'll want to make sure you break up all these lumps, otherwise it won't go into your balloon very well. And using this folded piece of paper can be a little tricky to get this baking soda into this narrow little balloon, but you doing it this way is makes it a little easier. And if you need help, ask your parents or another adult to help you do this part. As you can see, it goes in okay. It's all right if a little spills and doesn't get in. All right, I'm going to add a little more. Okay. Now to set up our chemical reaction, I'm going to take the balloon and stretch it really carefully over the top of your bottle like that, right? So now we have the baking soda, the solid part of our chemical reaction, and the vinegar, the liquid part of our chemical reaction. They're still separated. We're going to mix them and start the chemical reaction. And so watch for signs that a chemical reaction is occurring. And some of these might be fizzing or bubbles. Other things that sometimes happen in chemical reactions are heat, or sometimes something becomes cold. So we're going to start it right now. And the way we do that is lift up the balloon and let the baking soda all go in until it still is doing it. God. So you'll see that the balloon is blown up by the gas that's created by this chemical reaction. It's a gas called carbon dioxide, and the reason the balloon is not standing up or floating is because carbon dioxide is heavier than air. So this balloon is actually heavier than air, and you can tell it kind of wants to sink. So what just happened with the balloon is another example of a chemical reaction. When we mix a solid baking soda with a liquid vinegar, the two react to create a gas, carbon dioxide. We saw the signs that a chemical reaction was occurring, all the fizzing and the bubbling and the way it bubbled up out of the bottle. And so much gas was produced that it was not enough, was too much to fit in the bottle, and that's what inflated our balloon. Another thing that we see is that the gas that's produced by this chemical reaction, which is carbon dioxide, is actually heavier than air. Usually a balloon will float, but because carbon dioxide is so much heavier than the air around us, it falls and doesn't float. And you could see that in the experiment, the way the balloon kind of tipped over rather than stand up straight. Now let's go back and see what happened to our egg after it spent a few days in vinegar and having the eggshell react with the vinegar. So if you look at the egg, you can see it looks pretty different. It stopped bubbling, which means that there's very few bubbles. It's not bubbling nearly as much, which means that most of the chemical reaction has occurred. And I'm going to carefully pour off this vinegar. And here's our egg. You might want to rinse it off. But what you'll see is that the eggshell is completely dissolved. So the chemical reaction that occurred here is that the vinegar, the acid, which is an acid, dissolved the calcium carbonate, which is the chemical that makes up an eggshell, and all of the bits and molecules of calcium carbonate are now dissolved in this liquid. So it's changed a solid into a liquid solution. And what we have left is just the egg in this kind of membrane. And it's very rubbery, almost feels like a rubber ball. If you have a flashlight, it might be fun to shine a light through it and see if you can see the egg yolk. You can also try bouncing it, although that could be pretty messy and you might want to ask someone's permission before doing that in the kitchen. So today we've learned about two different types of chemical reactions you can do at home. You can make the rubber egg, you can blow up a balloon using baking soda and vinegar. I hope you've enjoyed learning about chemical reactions. If you want to learn more science and STEM-based activities, have more fun, please go to craftlakecity.com. Thanks for joining us.